guys, so in this lesson we're going to cover something really important that every single musician needs to know, and that is the cycle of fifths. Now if you have a look here in the picture-in-picture, you'll see a visual representation of the cycle of fifths. Now the cycle of fifths, also known as the circle of fifths or the circle of fourths, depending on which way you go, can be used for a number of different things, but there are sort of two key aspects of it which I'm going to outline in this video. Now firstly, let me tell you why it's called the cycle of fifths. Essentially, you're going down, or you're cycling down in fifths, so it's pretty self-explanatory. So if we start on the C and we go down 5 notes diatonically, so using only notes in the C major scale, we get to the F. Then if we go down 5 notes from the F, using notes in the F major scale, get to the B flat. If you go down 5 notes from the B flat, using only notes in the B flat, you go down to the E flat, and so on. So you can follow that sort of round the wheel in the picture-in-picture, and you see that each wheel is just 5 notes down from the previous one. Now 5 notes diatonically is the same as 7 semitones, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and so on. So you can sort of work it out that way if you don't know the key signatures already. But this cycle of fifths is supposed to spell out exactly that, the key signature. So the C major scale doesn't have any sharps or flats. If you go down 5 notes, you get to F major, which has 1 flat. It's the B flat. You go 5 notes again. Now we've added another flat. You've got the E flat. So B flat has 2 flats. You go down again 5 notes to the E flat. E flat has 3 flats. So if we're going down, we're adding sort of from the C, we're adding 1 flat at a time, from the C to the F to the B flat to the E flat. If we go up, we add 1 sharp at a time. So C going up 5 notes gets us to the G, which has the 1 F sharp. G going up 5 notes gets us to D, D major, gets us to 2 sharps, and so on, both ways. So that's one way to use the cycle of fifths. It shows you which keys are sort of closely related to which other keys. So the closer 2 notes are to each other in a cycle of fifths, the more sort of related they are to each other. In the sense that the C major is closely related to the F major because there's only 1 note difference. So if you're playing some kind of a chord progression, if you're writing a song and you've got something in the key of C major, you can change key to the F major without really causing too much dissonance, or without sort of causing too much, ruffling too many feathers, essentially. By moving or changing key from the C to the F, you're keeping most of the notes the same. It's a closely related key, so there's not too much change, essentially. Same if you're changing from C major, midway through a song you change to G major, you're just changing 1 note effectively in your scale. So again, that's not a huge sort of, it's not a big change. If, for example, you change from C major to, say, G flat major, right, so that's quite a big jump. We've gone from no flats or sharps to a lot of flats or sharps, essentially. And so if you're changing in a song, if you're changing from C major to G flat major, that's a pretty profound and sort of big change in key, and that'll be really noticeable. Not necessarily bad, just sort of you're changing to a very unrelated key. Now the second thing that a cycle of fifths can be used for that's really important in jazz is as a chord progression. And it's a really common, well-known chord progression that's used almost in every single jazz song ever. So it goes like this. So essentially all I did there was play a cycle of fifths starting on the F, so going from the F to the B, B to the E, E to A to D, D to G, G to C. and then that's the tonic, we rest on the tonic. So, but just sort of playing inversions, so. That's just the triads in root position, but I was playing sort of inversions of each. So that's a root position F major 7, second inversion D half diminished, root position E minor 7, second inversion A minor 7, root position D minor 7, second inversion G7, to a root position C major 7. If that didn't completely make sense, don't worry about it. I'll explain that sort of in future videos. But essentially, that's a really common chord progression. And all of those chords are in the key of C major. Now, if you don't understand why, go back and have a look at my video on music theory, chords and keys. But essentially, we're using all the notes in the C major scale, because we're in the key of C, and we're building a chord for each one. So we end up making a major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished chord. And so if we use those chords, all of those chords are in the key of C, so you can use the C major scale to improvise over that whole chord progression. And as I suppose you can see, the reason all those chords are in the key of C is because they only use notes from the key of C major, so no sharps or flats. You're going to see that a lot, and in fact Fly Me to the Moon, which I used in an earlier video and which I'm going to use in future videos, uses that sort of cycle of fifths idea, but just from the point of view of a minor key. So it goes... couple little sort of substitute chords in there, but effectively that's just a cycle of fifths starting from A minor. The E7 there, because it's a harmonic minor. But anyway, you get the idea. Now, if you take any jazz song and you look closely, you'll find some kind of variation on this sort of cycle of fifths. Now, of course, you don't have to run all the way through a cycle of fifths in any given chord progression. A really common jazz chord progression, or little snippet, I suppose, is a 2-5-1. So that's, for example, D minor 7 to G7 to C major 7. Now that's used a lot as a turnaround, or just throughout most jazz songs you will find some kind of 2-5-1. And that really, if you sort of break it down, it's just a tiny little fragment of the circle of fifths, or the cycle of fifths. The D going to the G, G going to the C. There are also a lot of sort of bluesy and jazzy turnarounds that go 3-6-2-5-1. Right, and I cover that sort of in another video where I discuss jazz turnarounds, but that really also is just a little fragment of the 2-5-1, starting from the E, going to the A, going to the D, going to the G, going to the C. The only slight difference there is that we're playing E minor 7 to A7, so really that's technically a secondary 2-5-1 in the key of D major. So we go, that's in the key of D major, then we move to the primary 2-5-1 in the key of C major, and then we hit C major. So you can play that cycle of fifths idea either all within the same key, or even changing keys, like that time going from the D major, which has the C sharp, to the C major. So I refer to this cycle of fifths idea a lot in future videos and in other videos that I've done. So make sure you understand more or less what I've sort of tried to explain here. If you don't, please leave a comment or a question and I'll try sort of elaborate on anything that you're confused about. Otherwise, thanks for watching and good work. See ya.